Hello everybody, I'm Raphael Perry and it's time for some more Fabled Lands. We find ourselves in the city of Yaromura, which is a young city. Its buildings are finely constructed houses of wood and stone with pagoda-style roofs. The clan of the White Spear, exiles from the east, rule the city. 100 years ago, civil war raged in Akatsurai. The clan was forced to flee in its ships to the west. Unable to find refuge in Sakara, the clan founded Yaromura, the clan's fiercely loyal samurai warriors easily suppressing the local nomad tribes. The current daimyo, the chief of the clan, is Lord Komonosu. He dreams of the day he will return to Akatsurai as shogun of the empire. To leave Yaromura by sea, or to buy and sell ships, visit the harbour master at the sea barrier. To buy or sell cargo, visit the silk market. Well, little Devika, our priestess, is going to go visit the temple district instead. Tambu, the great spirit of the plains people, has a temple here. The invaders, however, have brought the religion of Akatsurai with them. Their temples can be found in the Plaza of the New Gods. The Plaza of the New Gods is a large oval, the floor of which is covered in a mosaic of multicolored bricks that depicts a woman whose face shines like the sun, the chief goddess of the pantheon of the Akatsurai. Around the oval are several magnificent temples. Their mirrored spires and gabled pagodas sparkle in the sun. Many people throng the plaza. Priests and holy men, hawkers and hucksters, samurai and nomads. You learn a little about the gods of Akatsurai from them. In the plaza there are temples to Nizoderu, goddess of the rising sun, and queen of the other gods, Juntoku, lord of war, Nai, the sender of earthquakes, and Amanushi, master of night. You also hear a rumor that the Temple of Nizoderu is looking for a courageous adventurer to help them with a task. Well then. The Temple of Nizoderu, goddess of the rising sun, is built around an open courtyard with a great shrine in the middle, covered in little candles. Inside, 100 nuns dressed in flowing white robes and wearing elaborate wide-brimmed hats sing a continuous chant in praise of her. The goddess is depicted everywhere as a beautiful woman with a face that shines like the sun. She represents not only the sun, but piety, faith, and purity. The nuns of Nizoderu are skilled in the ways of petitioning the goddess to bring the dead back to life. The high priestess can give you an audience. First, though, we shall seek a blessing. It's a sanctity blessing. We already have one. So we shall speak to the High Priestess. The High Priestess is covered from head to toe in bright white silks. All you can see are her eyes, like twin orbs of amber. She tells you that the Mirror of the Sun Goddess, a holy relic of the temple, has been stolen. She believes it has fallen into the hands of a steppe nomad, one of the horde of the thundering skies, and asks that you retrieve it for them. In return, the temple will reward you. Only a holy man or warrior is worthy enough to handle the mirror, she adds. We shall accept. Devika is a holy woman. You accept the mission. You'll leave the High Priestess and return to the city. And for this quest, our reward will be a rank. +1 sanctity if she wasn't a priestess, but hey. And 150 shards. Excellent. Well, while we're in the Temple of Nizoderu, I think we're going to arrange a resurrection deal. Oh, should we? Yes, this is quite a dangerous land. Resurrection costs 200 shards if you're initiate, 800 shards if not. It is the last word in insurance. Once you have arranged for resurrection, you need not fear death, as you will be magically restored to life here at the temple. You can have only one resurrection arranged at any one time. If you arrange resurrection later at a different temple, the original one is cancelled. You will not get a refund. Well, we will pay for that. The priests conduct the ritual. If you are later killed, you will be awakened at this very temple. We shall visit the Temple of Tambu. It is a wooden structure built to resemble one of the round tents of the nomads of the steppes. Tambu is the great spirit of the steppes. When the northern lights flicker in the sky, it is said that the spirits of earth, sky, and water are dancing for him. Tambu's blessing is said to aid those who travel across the steppes. We shall talk to the chief shaman. The chief shaman is a short, fat fellow who is dressed in furs and covered in strange tattoos. If you're an initiate, or if you donate 10 shards to the temple, he will speak to you. Well, we'll make a donation. He can tell you about surviving on the steppes, the Ruby Citadel, the City of Ruins, or the Fane of the Four Winds. We have heard of the Ruby Citadel. We should ask to know more of it. You learn that a great wizard called Targdaz the Magnificent is imprisoned within the citadel. A necromancer called Shazir from the lands of the Southern Devils, as the shaman puts it, inhabits the citadel now. He forces Targdaz to do his bidding. "It is known that Targdaz has promised a great reward for any who can free him," says the shaman. With that he falls silent, indicating that the audience is at an end. Let's add to our notes then. A necromancer called Shazir. Right. And forces Targdaz to do his bidding. Targdaz is said to be willing to reward any who release him from this imprisonment. There we go. We shall seek a blessing. If you're an initiate, it costs only 10 shards to purchase Tambu's blessing. A non-initiate must pay 25 shards. It's a scouting blessing. We'll take it. Next, we'll visit the Temple of Juntoku. The Temple of Juntoku is built to look like a gigantic granite helmet. Juntoku is the warrior that never sleeps, a war god of Akatsurai. He is worshipped as a great general and leader of men. He is not a god of battle, but of the art of war. Let us seek a blessing. It's a charisma blessing. If you're an initiate, it costs only 10 shards to purchase Juntoku's blessing. A non-initiate must pay 25 shards. We will absolutely purchase that. At the moment, I'm grabbing all the blessings I can, because the Northern Steppes are a perilous region, mostly balanced for rank 4 characters. Typically with a priest though, you're going to end up coming up here at rank 3 and trying to recover the mirror. Most of the difficulties on the steppes are scouting rolls though, so we're well equipped for that. The Temple of Nai. The Temple of Nai is a sturdy, low blockhouse. Nai is the god of earthquakes and of ferocity in battle. Inside there is a huge idol of Nai as a mighty warrior shooting his arrow of earthquakes from his bow, the shatterer of worlds. The idol is hollow bronze, and the priests of Nai climb inside during important festivals. Using huge metal hammers, they create a thunderous booming in honor of their god. As the bringer of earthquakes, Nai is to be placated rather than worshipped, but many warriors pray to him for aid in hand-to-hand combat. We shall seek a blessing. It's a combat blessing, a combat ability check. as opposed to being a follower of Turnai, which is +1 to combat. And visit the Temple of Amanoshi. The Temple of Amanoshi is a dome painted a night dark blue and speckled with golden stars. Amanoshi is the walker in shadows, the master of the night. He is the god of thieves and assassins, and as such his temple is frowned upon by many Akatsuris. Naturally, the temple would not be tolerated so openly, but Amanoshi has been the patron god of the clan of the White Spear since time immemorial, and here in Yaromura he holds pride of place. We shall purchase for 35 shards a Blessing of Thievery, which we may need down south in Sakara. With all that done, we will now explore the city. Yaromura's streets and plazas are cosmopolitan indeed. Finely dressed samurai swagger and strut alongside nomad traders from the plains and merchants and mercenaries from Sakara and Golnir. There is a city where east meets west. The clan of the White Spear, however, governs it with a rod of iron. Yaromura is in a perpetual state of readiness for war as the armies and fleets of Akatsurai constantly seek to seize the city for the Empire. We will go to the Tower of Bakan. The Tower of Bakan is a tall, forbidding structure. You knock on the gargoyle-adorned doors and are shown into a dark, shadowy room. You sit at a table, at the far end of which squats a misshapen form wreathed in voluminous robes and indistinct in the darkness. "I am Bakan," rasps a voice. As you watch, the robes begin to shift and rustle as if changing shape. After a few minutes, the voice speaks again, sounding quite different this time. "I have been cursed. Every hour my form changes at random into hideous shapes and creatures that would blight your soul if you were to look upon them. But do not fear, for I will not hurt you." Bakan has searched for ways to deal with curses for many years. If you are cursed, such as the curse of the Shadar, Bakan can remove it from you, but it will cost you 100 shards. "You look a brave sort," Bakan croaks. "I need a witch's hand and some parrot fungus if I am to lift my own curse. Bring me these things, and I will reward you." We shall accept the mission. When you are ready, you leave. You find an inn called the Nomad's Rest. It costs you 1 shard a day. Each day you spend here, you can recover 1 stamina point if injured, up to the limit of your normal unwounded stamina score. You hear the same fireside tale you heard last episode about a tomb robber who tried his luck at looting the City of Ruins, an ancient Shadar capital. He carried a flag or banner of the Shadar, and this was some protection, but not enough, for he was driven quite mad by the gibbering ghosts that are said to inhabit the ruin. We will rest overnight and recover our stamina, and then we will set foot upon those perilous plains. Also, we're going to sell our lantern. And now to live really dangerously. There are a number of areas here we want to avoid. We wish to get to the Horde of the Thundering Skies and the Pyramid of Xynok, and generally this region over in the western portion of the plains. We want to avoid the northeast and north-central plains, as those are quite dangerous to us, so we will head back down to the Gemstone Hills. You are strolling through an area of low, rolling hills, the Gemstone Hills. They are lush and green and covered in woods. It is strangely quiet. There are no birds singing in the trees, and you see no woodland animals. We've failed a magic roll, we'll take it and move on. The Gemstone Hills seem deserted. You spot neither hide nor hair of anything. We're going to avoid the Eastern Plainsphere and skirt around past Beladai's camp. You're in between the Gemstone Hills and the citadel of Velis Corrin. A vast army has made camp near here, some miles north of the citadel. It is alive with activity. Caravans of supplies and camp followers are everywhere. You learn that it is the army of the Northern Alliance, led by General Beladai. Beladai was the commander-in-chief of King Corrin of Sakara's army before Grief Marlock usurped his throne. Now, the new king in exile has made an alliance with the Horde of the Thousand Winds, the Trow, and the Mannequin people of Sky Mountain. Together, they hope to take the citadel and put the king back on the throne. They are readying themselves to march south and lay siege to the citadel, but the citadel is supposed to be invincible. We shall pass on by and head across here into the southern plains, which appear to be wooded. You're travelling across the plains. To the south lie the mountains of the Spine of Harkoon, with white-peaked Sky Mountain towering above the rest. Night falls and you make camp. The plains are flat and desolate and you need to hunt for food. You find a wild hare to eat. After an uneventful night, and the new day dawns. Sky Mountain casts its morning shadow over you. You're travelling across the southern steppes. To the south, the Spine of Harkoon marches across the sky. To the north, endless grasslands stretch away. You come to a desolate ruin, its cyclopean outer walls crumbling now tell of a once great city. We will head to the strange gully. The steppes are vast indeed. Here, in the middle of nowhere, you feel a keen sense of isolation, a lone traveller in an abandoned land, but you notice a welcome change in the endless monotony of the plains, a depression in the earth a little way off. Investigating the gully, you come to a man-made hollow in the ground. In the middle is a shrine bedecked with offerings from nomad worshippers and covered in symbols of the god Tambu, great spirit of the steppes. The wind howls all around, buffeting you from all directions. You have found the Thane of the Four Winds. Perhaps we should ask the shaman about it back in Yarumura, if we return that way. You notice some of the offerings are quite valuable. We're going to leave them where they be. What kind of priestess would loot the temple of another faith when she's merely visiting in a peaceful manner? Now we're going to risk life and limb by heading to the area controlled by the Horde of the Thundering Skies. This far north, winter's icy grip lasts almost the whole year round. The hard, frosted grass crunches underfoot, and a cold, drizzling rain plunges you into a dark despair. We have rolled no event. No event is a good event. We want the first event, the Rotting Corpse. We do not want to run into the bird riders. You camp for the night. The fur of your wolf pelt helps to keep you warm. You find a snow hare to eat. The sun rises, its warm rays barely warming the morning air. We're going to go back to the strange gully and spam this until we get what we need or die. Bird riders. Now this is tricky. We can re-roll. Yeah, let's re-roll. We'll use our luck blessing. And we get no event. Oh, this is where it gets really risky. We'll come back one last time. We're screwed. Riders come towards you over the brow of a low hill. Their steeds are not horses, but giant flightless birds whose powerful legs propel the ground toward you with frightening speed. The riders hold long lances and their mounts have vicious-looking beaks, an unpleasant combination. One rider, a squat nomad in stinking leather armor with a long, greasy moustache, charges ahead of the rest, intending to impale you on his lance. That is a hard combat roll. a very hard combat roll, even with a combat blessing. I'm going to do something I didn't want to do, and I'm going to use our moonstone to teleport back to Marlock City. You quickly rub the pale moonstone as the sorceress told you to do. At first, nothing happens, and he's charging towards us with his lance lowered. Suddenly, there is a flash, and suddenly you find yourself in a warm, comfortable room beside Alicia the Traveller. The sorceress has rescued you from her burning house. The sorceress you rescued from her burning house. Alicia will heal you of all lost stamina points if you are wounded, and cure you of any diseases or poisons you may be suffering from. Neither are required. My debt to you is now paid, she says. With that, she passes her hands through the air and disappears in a cloud of smoke. You find yourself in an inn at Marlock City. You venture out into town slightly dazed. Marlock City is a huge, sprawling metropolis enclosed in a fortified wall said to have been built 1,000 years ago by the ancient Shadar Empire. It is the capital city of Saqqara. Marlock City was once known as Sokar until General Grieve Marlock led the army in a bloody revolt against the old king Corin VII and had him executed. The general renamed the city after himself. It is now a crime to call it Sokar. The general lives in the old king's palace and calls himself the Protector General of all Saqqara. Whereas the old king was corrupt, the general rules with a fist of iron. Some people like the new regime. Others are loyalists, still loyal to Nergan, the heir to the throne, who has gone into hiding somewhere. Outside the city gates hang the bodies of many dead people. Labels around their necks read, "A rebel is executed by the state for the good of the people." "You best behave yourself if you don't want to end up like one of them," grates a guardsman, nodding towards the swinging corpses as you pass through the great eagle-headed gates of Marlock City. To leave Marlock City by sea, or to buy or sell ships and cargo, go to the harbour master. Well, first, little Devika's going to go to the Temple District. Saqqara's capital boasts a remarkable spiritual landscape featuring 3 grand temples, each occupying its own distinct location amidst the city's bustling streets. Additionally, it is home to the unique House of Priests, serving as the administrative heart of the polytheistic religions covered in both Saqqara and Golnir. The Temple of Elnir will be a charisma blessing. The Temple of Sig would be a thief blessing, and the Temple of Alvir and Valmir would be protection from storms, right? The Temple of Alvir and Valmir, divine rulers of the House of the Sea, is right on the teeming harbour of Marlock City. Its sea-green marbled porticos are draped in 100 silver nets. Brother and sister, Alvir and Valmir rule below the waves. Alvir brings the souls of the drowned in his nets before his sister Valmir for judgment. A swaggering ship's captain emerged from the temple, saying to you in passing, "Never, I mean never, go to sea without paying your respect to the twin gods unless you want to sail through a world of storms." Well, our ship's good enough to weather most storms, so we will leave there. In fact, we will leave the city and head east towards Yellowport. You're on the road between Yellowport and Marlock City. Along most of the length of the road, a thin sliver of a shantytown has grown up. Tents and lean-tos line the way. You find out that the people living here are refugees from Trefoil. The city was burnt to the ground during the recent civil war in which the old king was overthrown. A pickpocket steals 10 shards. You come to the top of a windswept cliff. An ancient pillar of jumbled rock, pitted and weather-beaten, stands at the cliff's edge like a broken finger pointing at the sky. Seagulls sing their song of desolation in the air. Judging by the runes etched into the rock, the tour dates back to the time of the Shadar, a race that ruled Harkuna so long ago they are lost in myth and legend. Let's continue along the road to Yellowport. Yellowport is the second largest city in Saqqara. It is mainly a trading town and is known for its exotic goods from distant Ankon Konu way to the south. The Stinking River brings rich deposits of sulfur from the Lake of the Sea Dragon down to the town, where it is extracted and stored in the large waterfront warehouses run by the Merchants Guild. From here, the mineral is exported all over Harkuna. Unfortunately, all that sulfur has its drawbacks. The stink is abominable and much of the city has a yellowish hue. The river is so full of sulfur that it is virtually useless as a source of food or of drinking water. However, the demand for sulfur, especially from the sorcerers' guilds, is great. Politically, much has changed in the past few years. The old and corrupt king of Saqqara, Corin VII, has been deposed and executed in a military coup. General Grieve Marlock and the army now controls Saqqara. The old Council of Yellowport has been indefinitely dissolved, and a Provost Marshal Marlowe's Marlock, the general's brother, appointed as military governor of the town. To leave Yellowport by sea, buy or sell ships and cargo, go to the Harbour Master. First we'll visit the Temple District. The Temple of Maka, the terrible goddess of disease and famine, is a large underground chamber, accessible via an ornate entrance in the middle of the Plaza of Gods, where all the temples stand in Yellowport. Down below, the walls are bare earth. The ceiling is covered in the roots of growing plants, for Maka is also the goddess of the harvest, who must be kept happy, else disease and famine will strike the people and their crops, their livestock, bringing ruin to them all. Let us seek a blessing. If you're an initiate, it costs only 10 shards to purchase Maka's blessing. A non-initiate must pay 20 shards. You will obtain an immunity to disease and poison. The blessing works by allowing you to ignore any one occasion when you would normally suffer from disease or poison, for instance the venomous bite of a snake. You can only have one immunity to disease and poison blessing at any time. Once it is used up, you can return to any branch of the Temple of Maka to buy a new one. We shall purchase this for 20 shards. That is really good value for money. And Temple of Turnai, why not? The Temple of Turnai, the god of war, is built in the shape of a spear with a long pillared nave and an altar at the far end. 2 massive stone warriors guard its gates. Turnai is depicted here as the insensate spirit of war, a blood-drenched warrior with the head of a maddened jaguar. It's a combat blessing, we already have one. We leave. Is it then worth going up to Blessed Springs to get one of those combat boost potions? Quite possibly. Oh. Yeah, that's a good idea. Let's leave. We'll head up to Venefax. The villagers welcome you as the one who brought Thors to justice and saved their people from slavery. Venefax is a strange-looking village. It looks like a single giant building. All the houses are joined together to form a jumbled mass, and none of the houses have doors. The only way in is through holes in the rooftop. Ladders lead up to the roof, which in effect forms a network of streets that the inhabitants travel across to get to certain buildings. "We had to build it that way for defence," says a passing farmer. "You see, the Scorpion men from the south cannot climb, so they can't get inside the town." There is not much for you to buy or sell in this provincial market. Items of no purchase price are not available locally. We're not going to buy or sell anything here. Oh. No, we're going to need a new lantern. I'll pop it over there. You're on the road between Blessed Springs and Venefax. Pilgrims, the sick and injured travel this route to the holy waters of Blessed Springs to find salvation. We're attacked by mad pilgrims. Fine. They started it. And we're the ones to finish it. Nagil lays his curse on you, mad pilgrim. Feel the cleansing fire of his judgment. And now the second one approaches, and we cut him down. You win the fight. A quick search of their pockets and you find a potion of godliness and a staff. We'll take the potion of godliness and the staff and hope that was not a mistake. The village of Blessed Springs, nestling at the foot of a tall hill, has grown up around the holy waters, a special spring said to have healing powers. It has been fenced off by the villagers and a priesthood appointed to supervise the supplicants who come to bathe or drink of the spring's waters. There is no market, but an alchemist has set up shop here. Let's go to the alchemist's shop, and we're going to sell him 2 of these potions of godliness. We will purchase a potion of strength. We'll put that down there. Maybe a second potion of strength. Or a potion of comeliness. Actually, yeah, that's not a bad idea. And another potion of strength. Yeah. Yes. Now we've got plenty of potions. We shall depart. The cold, bleak mountains look as inhospitable and forbidding as their name implies. Their frozen flanks climbing high into the icy clouds. What am I doing? I should be heading back down south. Okay, we'll go back to Blessed Springs. Take the road back down to Venefax. Maybe fight some more pilgrims along the way. Okay. So be it. I'm imagining this might play out similar to last time. Ooh, okay. There we go. We will take none of their things and continue down to Venefax. Then on to Yellowport, where we will head to the harbour and load up our ship with minerals and cast off. Your ship is sailing in the coastal waters beside Yellowport. There are a number of other ships, mostly merchantmen, but there are also a few warships of the Sakaran Imperial Navy. At least we won't be played by pirates with the navy around, says the first mate. We'll sail on. Your ship is sailing in the coastal waters off the Shadar Tor. You can just see the Tor, a jumbled mass of rocks sitting on the cliffs as it has done for 1,000 years. A merchantman appears to be from Golnir. It keeps well away from you, no doubt fearing piracy. Your ship is sailing in the coastal waters off Shadar Tor. Then westwards we shall sail. Your ship is sailing in the coastal waters near Marlock City. You notice an unusual number of Sakaran warships patrolling the sea. The pirates are getting bolder and bolder. That's why the navy's out in force, says the first mate. Well, we shall sail further, still to the west. A shard for your thoughts, you say to the first mate when you find him gazing dourly across the waves. Far to the south, men say, there's a pit that goes right through the world. In its black depths you can see the stars. He laughed to make light of his mood. Well, what of it? Why so glum? Don't you know the old saying? Battle not with monsters lest ye become a monster, and if you gaze into the abyss also gazes into you. He turns away from the railing. What course, Captain? You're sailing in coastal waters close to Wishport, and thick black clouds pile up along the horizon. We do not have a Blessing of Alvir and Valmir, so we're just going to have to roll 3 dice and add like 4 and yeah. We weather the storm. We will put in at Wishport and sell our cargo. Wishport is a picturesque town set at the back of a bay rimmed by white cliffs. Fish, oils, dyes and other commodities are packed here for transport inland. The market is located in a warren of alleys adjacent to the waterfront. Each alley is dedicated to a different commodity. In one you can buy rope, in another lanterns, and so on. You hear the echo of hammer on anvil from the weaponsmith's forge just ahead. Temple of the Three Fortunes. Do we have a Blessing of the Three Fates? We do not. Okay. The Three Fortunes are the goddesses of fate who weave the tapestry of all men's lives. Their temple is a high-ceilinged edifice dimly illuminated by 3 altar candles. We will purchase a Blessing of Luck because we're going to need it at some point. Yes, we're very blessing heavy. Also, very heavily burdened. Oh, we'll sell this quarterstaff at market. We should have ditched that to pick up the other potion. To be honest, that would have been a better... Never mind. You're on the road that stretches across the downs between Haggart's Corner and the coast. Let's just stay on the road. We meet some wandering priests who give you some advice on religious rituals that might stand you in good stead, as well as a potion of godliness. Well, there we are, that makes up for the one we didn't gain earlier. Bidding the priests farewell, you continue on your way. The town of Haggart's Corner stands at a place where 3 roads meet. Here, in certain seasons of the year, the Trow are said to come and trade with marvellous trinkets in exchange for human favours. It is a pretty pastel-hued town. Houses with high gables and mullioned bay windows are set around a series of courts where fountains splash dreamily in the sunlight. The market at Haggart's Corner amounts to just a few shops, whose dusty shelves suggest they don't do a roaring trade. People prefer to do business with the Trow, says one shopkeeper with a shrug. Who can compete? Perhaps you will find a bargain here all the same. We'll check. We can sell our lantern, but we're going to need it to travel north again. East of the Whistling Heath lie fertile lands that provide rich pickings for the yeomen of central Golnir. You encounter 7 fools who are engaged in a preposterous venture. It begins to drizzle with rain. Strolling along, you see 7 worried shepherds wading about in the middle of a stream, waving their crooks in the air. Their dogs are watching in amazement from the banks. What are you doing, you ask? We decided to herd fish instead of sheep because you can't sell mutton on Friday, replies one. But now it's raining, we're trying to get round the fish up so they don't get wet, puts in another. Shaking your head, you set off down the road. Mulhern is the blacksmith of the gods, famous for his cleverness and the breadth of his knowledge. Here at the monastery, his most devout adherents live an austere existence, striving to honour the god through a regimen of hard physical labour combined with academic study. If you're injured, this is a good place to rest and recuperate your wounds. We're going to the bank of the River Grim, and we're going to possibly visit this location more than once. You're walking along the bank of a river Grim called the River of Souls because it is said to carry ghost barges laden with the souls of the dead. Just after nightfall, a punt carrying translucent figures comes drifting along the river. Come with us, call out the wraiths. We'll take you to a feast in the underworld. As a priestess of Nagil, Devika is intrigued. Normally, most sensible folk would shun such an invitation. As the punt drifts on, darkness congeals around you until the only things you can see are the ghostly figures beside you. Finally, the punt jolts to a halt, and you walk along a jetty into a shadowy hall. You're in a vast chamber. It is dark and hazy with blue resinous smoke. Glittering lamps sparkle along the distant walls. Ravens flutter among the high black rafters. Trestles line the room. Seated there are countless people with white faces and red, rheumy eyes. Something draws your eyes to the far end of the hall, where a cowled figure sits on a gnarled wooden throne. We could try to leave, but I suspect we cannot. We are in the realm of the dead after all, and cannot leave without Nagel's permission. If we sit down at one of the trestle tables and join the myriad departed, we are likely to become one with them. Let us approach the cowled figure seated upon the throne. Your footsteps echo hollowly on the polished panels of the floor. The cowled figure peers down at you and says, "Blood and breath, sweat and sinew. Here is one from a land of mortals who still bears the special stench of life. You did not come here by the usual route, mortal. We are an initiate of Nagel. I have a special boon for such a devout worshipper," says the god. He touches you on the brow, leaving a silvery mark in the shape of a skull. You gain a new title, Chosen One of Nagel. Swirling darkness surrounds you. "Do not fear," you hear Nagel saying. "You are being returned to the veil of mortality." You feel the grip of death loosening. Here, on the flat country of southeast Golnir, the River Grim meanders before sluggishly debouching into the swampy delta of the Magwort Fens. Lush cornfields are on either side, the surging river on the other. Lush cornfields are on one side, the surging river on the other. You reach a point where it is possible to ford the river across a causeway of ancient weathered stones. No, we'll stay on this side. We now have the Chosen One of Nagel title, which is required for something in the Northern Steppes, which is going to be very hard for us to achieve, and it's not going to happen anytime soon. So now we want to go back to the Northern Steppes with all our potions and our wolf's pelt and lantern, and I'd like to try and get that done this session. So we're going to hit up the East Road. A lady calls to you from a window of a fortified tower as you pass by. "I've been abducted by an evil knight," she says. "If you see my champion, pray tell him where I am." "Do you need rescuing?" you call back. "Thank you for the offer, but I think my champion will want to do that himself." Sounds like a bit of a setup to me. Let's go on our way. You continue on your way after, promising you will inform the damsel's champion of her whereabouts, if we ever meet him. We'll head down to Haggart's Corner, along the Eastern Road, and meet some wandering priests who'll try to give us a potion of godliness. You know what? We'll just drink one, and take that one with us. We'll go to Wishport, where we will get on our ship and sail back to Saqqara. I could have picked up grain from Ringhorn or Matricians. I decided not to. We got another storm. We weather the storm. Now the question is, do we try to sail around? I think we do. Your ship is sailing in the coastal waters off the Shadar Tor. You can just see the Tor, a jumbled mass of rocks sitting on the cliff tops, as it has done for 1,000 years. We're now sailing by Yellow Port. Uneventful voyage. You're sailing in the waters around Scorpion Bight. I wouldn't want to put into land in these parts, says your navigator. The Scorpion men will take all we've got, and our lives too, given half a chance. Another storm. We weather the storm. Let us sail northwards. If I can get back to Yaramura, that's probably a good point to end the episode. You're sailing along the coast off Blessed Springs. Gulls cluster around the ship looking for food. Their cries echo across the vast seas. Another storm, which we survive. Nerech's a dangerous place, even its coastal waters, Captain, says the first mate. The men probably won't follow you there, but if they don't think you're good enough to lead them... The first mate advises you against making the ocean journey. We'll have to make a charisma roll then. You try to convince the crew to follow you to the dangerous waters near Nerech. And we succeed. Several of your crew members are brought to tears by your eloquent speech. The ship sails on in dangerous waters. You're sailing along the northern shores of Nerech, the land of the man-beasts. The coastline is one long stretch of cliff. The waters are shallow and rocky, making it impossible to land here. Misshapen figures cavort and yell on the cliff tops, shaking their fists in impotent rage at your ship and crew. Our voyage is uneventful. Let's continue onwards then. You're sailing around the tip of Nerech. Out to sea, a great cloud of rolling fog tinged with an eerie greenish glow surrounds a mountain that climbs out of the mists. That's the Isle of Mystery, says the first mate. He spits and makes a sign against evil. The men mutter among themselves. They are afraid of the misty isle. Let's sail on then. You're sailing into Disaster Bay. Heavy rains begin to fall and the skies darken, severely reducing visibility. These are dangerous waters, Captain, says the first mate. Some people say the reefs and rocks of the bay shift and change, making any chart unreliable. You have successfully navigated the dangerous waters of Disaster Bay. Up ahead, your lookout spots an island. That be Basilic Isle, says the mate. No one who has landed there has ever got back alive. I'd advise against it unless you've a map or something, Captain. Well then. While we do have a map, or something, it would appear to be the wrong one. You're sailing in the coastal waters around the city of Yaramura. To the east, the sea stretches away to the horizon. Then let us sail in to port. And we're back at Yaramura at last, where I think it's a reasonably good point to end the episode. Now, we didn't achieve much, but we did gain the title of Chosen One of Nagil, which will be extremely useful to us in the future. For now, though, I'm going to end this episode here. I hope you've all enjoyed this one, and I'll look forward to seeing you all in the very next episode. I'll bid you goodbye for now, though, and cheerio, everyone. See you all soon.